Before I begin, let me make one gentle note since the topic involves sexual health and aging. I'll keep the language respectful, mature, and psychologically reflective, exploring the meaning behind the subject rather than its mechanics. The message will be about intimacy, loneliness, vitality, self-awareness, and human connection, all framed in an emotionally grounded and wise tone, much like an Oprah-style talk. If you're older and you masturbate, I want to ask you, gently, sincerely, to stay with me for a few minutes. Not because I'm here to judge you. Not because I want to shame you, but because I want to talk about something most people never talk about honestly. Something deeper than the act itself. Something about why we do what we do, and what it really means to be human in the later chapters of our lives. See, this isn't about right or wrong. This is about awareness. It's about understanding yourself with compassion. It's about asking, what am I really seeking when I reach for pleasure, for release, for that moment of escape? Because the truth is, whether you're 20 or 70, human beings are wired for connection. For touch, for closeness, for the feeling of being alive. And as we get older, something strange happens. The world becomes quieter around us. People stop seeing us the way they used to. The phone doesn't ring as often. The mirror reflects a body that has changed. Softer maybe, slower, not quite the same one we knew. And in that space, in that quiet, the need for touch doesn't go away, it just becomes more private. So yes, you might find yourself turning inward, seeking comfort in yourself, in your own hands, in your own imagination. There's nothing shameful about that. But there is something important about looking closer. Because if you're honest, truly honest, sometimes what we call pleasure is really a stand-in for something else. For loneliness. For unspoken grief. For the ache of not being touched in ways that make us feel seen. And the body, bless it, is brilliant at finding temporary relief. It gives us moments of release when the heart feels heavy. But the body can't replace the soul's longing for connection. That's why afterward, after the release, after the quiet, there's sometimes a whisper inside that says, I wish I didn't feel so alone. And that whisper isn't guilt. It's a signal. It's your heart reminding you that what you really crave isn't just release. It's relationship. Because sexuality, in its deepest form, isn't about performance or pressure or fantasy. It's about communion. It's about life itself expressing through you. The energy that says, I'm still here, I'm still alive. That's something beautiful. Something sacred. But when that energy gets trapped in secrecy, or shame, or routine, it begins to lose its light. It becomes mechanical instead of magical. It becomes something we hide instead of something we honor. And if we're not careful, it can start to numb us instead of awaken us. Now, I want to say this with all the tenderness I can. Aging doesn't mean losing your sensuality. It means deepening it. It means learning that touch, your own touch, another's touch, is not just about the body. It's about presence, about gratitude, about being aware of what's happening within you, not just chasing what you used to feel. You see, youth often treats pleasure like a sport, something to conquer. Age, if we let it, teaches us that pleasure can become a meditation, something to listen to. It's not about the fantasy anymore. It's about the feeling of being connected to life again. And that's where the transformation happens. Because when you bring awareness to what you're doing, when you're not rushing or escaping or judging yourself, that simple act can turn from a habit into a kind of self-care. It can be a reminder that your body still belongs to you. That your desire is still valid. That your aliveness is still sacred. But here's the thing, awareness is the key. When it's unconscious, it becomes a cycle of emptiness. You chase the moment, but it slips through your fingers. When it's conscious, it becomes an act of love. You stop using your body, and you start listening to it. You begin to notice, what am I really seeking right now? Comfort, relief, intimacy, and in that noticing you open a door. Maybe you realize that what you truly want isn't just physical release. It's emotional connection. It's conversation. It's laughter. It's touch that carries meaning. Maybe you realize you've been carrying old shame from the past. Messages from a time when the body was treated as sinful, or desire as weakness. Maybe it's time to forgive yourself for all the ways you've tried to survive loneliness. Because that's what most of us are doing. Surviving. But you deserve more than survival. You deserve connection. So if you're older and you masturbate, I'm not here to tell you to stop. I'm here to invite you to wake up inside the act. To bring light where there has been secrecy. To bring compassion where there has been judgment. To bring gratitude where there has been guilt. Ask yourself, what would happen if I treated this not as escape, but as ceremony? What if, before you touched yourself, you took a breath and whispered, "Thank you, body. Thank you for being here." What if, afterward, instead of turning away in silence, you sat for a moment and asked, "What do I really need right now?" Sometimes, the answer will surprise you. Sometimes, it's not more stimulation. It's a phone call to someone you love, a walk outside, a prayer, a poem. Because physical release without emotional nourishment is like eating sugar when what you need is a meal. It fills you for a moment, but it doesn't feed you. And I think that's what's missing from the conversation about sexuality and aging. We talk about performance. We talk about decline. We talk about hormones and pills and fixes. But we rarely talk about the soul. And the soul, especially as we grow older, is the most sensual part of all. Because when you've lived long enough, every touch carries a story. Every breath carries memory. Every act of love becomes layered with all the years that came before. That's sacred. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to honor. But the world doesn't teach us that. The world teaches us that youth equals desire, and everything after that is decline. It tells men their worth is in virility, and women that their beauty has an expiration date. And those lies are poison, because they cut us off from the truth that life force, sexual energy, creative energy, the urge to connect, is not bound by age. It evolves. It becomes subtler, wiser, more soulful. And when you approach it with reverence, it becomes a bridge, not to fantasy, but to fulfillment. You begin to see that the longing you feel is not something to fix. It's something to follow. It's your soul saying, "There's still more life in you." So instead of shaming that longing, listen to it. Let it lead you, not just to pleasure, but to purpose. Because when you understand that your sexual energy is life energy, you start to see how it moves through everything. Your creativity, your compassion, your laughter, your courage. It's all connected. The same energy that draws you toward pleasure is the same energy that draws you toward beauty, toward connection, toward creation. When you awaken it consciously, it can heal you. It can remind you that you're still growing, still capable of joy, still capable of deep love, and maybe, just maybe, it can remind you that you don't have to do it all alone. Because yes, self-pleasure has its place. But connection, human, vulnerable, imperfect connection, that's where we come alive again. Even if it's just talking. Even if it's just holding someone's hand. Even if it's simply allowing someone to see you. That's the intimacy that truly satisfies the soul. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't finding that connection. It's believing we still deserve it. Believing that at this age, after all the mistakes, after all the changes, after all the years, we're still worthy of love. But you are. You always were. That worth doesn't expire. That longing doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. So if you're watching this, and you've been carrying quiet shame about your habits, or your desires, or your body, I want you to take a deep breath right now and release it. You have nothing to apologize for. Your body has carried you through decades of life. It has known pain, joy, loss, pleasure, survival. It deserves compassion, not condemnation. What matters is not what you do, it's the consciousness you bring to it. Are you escaping, or are you exploring? Are you numbing, or are you nurturing? Are you hiding from yourself, or are you meeting yourself? Because the older we get, the more powerful that question becomes. We don't have time to waste on habits that drain us. We deserve practices that awaken us. So maybe, from this moment forward, you can make a quiet promise to yourself that every time you engage with your body, you'll do it with awareness. That you'll treat yourself with kindness, not critique. That you'll listen, really listen, to what your body and heart are asking for. Because sometimes, what they're asking for isn't more pleasure, it's more presence, it's a slower breath, a gentler touch, a moment of gratitude that says, "I am still alive." And that right there, is the real message. If you're older and you masturbate, it's not a problem. It's not a sin. It's not a weakness. It's simply energy. Life energy. What matters is how you use it. You can use it to escape, or you can use it to awaken. You can use it to numb, or you can use it to heal. You can make it something hidden in darkness, or you can make it something sacred in light. The choice is always yours. And the older you get, the more precious that choice becomes. Because awareness, conscious living, is the real fountain of youth. Not the body that never ages, but the spirit that never stops learning how to love. So if you're watching this, I want to leave you with this thought. Don't let shame run your life. Don't let habit dull your heart. Don't let the world tell you that desire is something you should outgrow. Instead, let desire remind you that you are still capable of feeling, of giving, of growing, of being touched by life. Let it make you tender, not restless. Let it connect you to others, not isolate you. Let it wake you up to the truth that even now, especially now, your capacity for joy, for intimacy, for aliveness is still infinite. So the next time you feel that pull, that impulse toward pleasure, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what do I really need right now? Whatever the answer is, meet it with love. Meet it with truth. Meet it with the understanding that every part of you, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, deserves respect. And when you bring that respect into your relationship with yourself, you begin to heal from the inside out. That's when pleasure becomes peace. That's when loneliness turns into connection. That's when age turns into wisdom. So, if you're older and you masturbate, don't hide. Don't judge. Just wake up, because this stage of life isn't the end of your vitality. It's the evolution of it. You are not broken. You are becoming. And when you meet yourself with awareness, compassion, and gratitude, you'll realize that what you were looking for all along wasn't just pleasure. It was presence. And presence, that's where true life begins again.